Actors Theater of Louisville, which celebrated its 50th anniversary this year, is led by Managing Director Jennifer Bielstein and Artistic Director Les Waters. Both have led efforts to craft a strategic plan that focuses on audience engagement and expansion, local and national collaboration, and investment. Last season, the nonprofit theater organization, which has a $10 million annual budget and an endowment portfolio valued at nearly $30 million, secured a new corporate partnership with the PNC Foundation in support of its $10 Try Us Out ticket initiative. It also secured more than $200,000 in additional contributions from several companies and foundations, and worked with Chef Edward Lee to open his new restaurant, Milkwood, in the theater in February. Actors Theater of Louisville, 50 years strong and working hard to grow even stronger as it moves into the next 50 years.
Dare to Care Food Bank has been feeding hungry people in the area for 45 years, and Executive Director Brian Rindow says the need has never been greater than now. And that need is reflected by the fact that during the past year, the organization distributed more than 16 million pounds of food to struggling families, a new record for the food bank. One of Dare to Care's most innovative programs is Backpack Buddies, which provides food to children from low-income families on weekends when they don't receive school lunches and breakfasts. Through its Kids Cafe program, Dare to Care delivers and serves more than 1,000 warm meals every day after school at 18 sites. And in August, Dare to Care launched its Community Kitchen, which has allowed it to triple the number of meals through Kids Cafe. Another major achievement for the organization this year was receiving the largest grant from a private foundation in Dare to Care's history, a $1.5 million investment by the Lift a Life Foundation to support its community kitchen and food bank operations. And as the calendar turns to 2014, support like this will continue to be essential as Dare to Care continues its mission of mercy.
The Jefferson County Public Education Foundation, dedicated to promoting greater educational attainment by students in Jefferson County Public Schools, has had a productive year. This year, the foundation has been the connecting point between JCPS and the Ford Motor Company Foundation, as Louisville strives to become the 18th Ford Next Generation Learning Community, and has also provided support and leadership in coordinating the efforts of 71 community and business leaders to develop a 3-year master plan to transform JCPS high schools. Foundation Chairman Jim Allen, who is also President, Chairman, and CEO of Hilliard Lyons, is confident the collaboration to create the plan will be a game changer because it will create a new generation of young people who will graduate from high school far more prepared for college and a career.
Argy Financial Group, LLC is enjoying another year of impressive growth. The financial planning firm's sales were up 32% last year, and the company is on pace for an increase of as much as 40% this year. Argy added 10 employees this year, 4 in Louisville and 6 in Cincinnati, bringing its total employment to 64. It also acquired KD Fiduciary Asset Management, a small Louisville financial firm. And in June, the company bought 2 lots next to its Louisville headquarters building, bringing it closer to achieving its goal of adding as much as 24,000 square feet to its operation. Co-owner Ron Butt says one strategy that helped drive Argy's success is hiring recent college graduates and pairing them with members of its senior team. This has increased the productivity of senior staffers by 30% because it allows them to hand off mundane duties while providing the junior employees an opportunity to get experience in customer service and research.
Last year was only the 5th full year in business for Integrity HR Inc., but it also was the year the company hit the $1 million sales mark. And this year, company founder and CEO Amy Letke expects sales of $2 million. Integrity provides human resources consulting services, professional products and support, and outsourced HR services. Ironically, the company's growth has been driven in part by the stagnant economy, which has led many companies to outsource operational functions. Another factor is the increasingly strict regulatory climate in the HR field. Letke says part of the company's success was a recent move to divide its offerings into 3 core services segments, one that offers outsourcing services for clients with up to 200 employees, another for larger clients that already have an in-house HR operation but need strategic assistance, and a third segment, HR for the do-it-yourselfer, which offers an annual subscription to employee handbook updates.
XL Laboratories, partnership between University of Louisville professors Roland Valdez Jr. and Mark Linder and the University of Louisville Foundation Inc., conducts genetic tests that gauge the effectiveness of drugs on individual patients. The company also provides testing services for pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturers. Valdez says the company is a prime example of a public-private partnership succeeding by fostering the development of high-tech jobs. In the last year and a half, PGXL has more than doubled its employees to 45 workers, increased its lab space, signed a lucrative distribution deal that opened new markets, and cut its teeth internationally through a partnership with an Italian-based firm. And next year, PGXL plans to continue its growth by adding even more lab space and at least 20 additional employees, moves that are expected to increase its revenue by as much as 70%. Community Bank Shares of Indiana, the holding company for your community bank and Scott County State Bank, has achieved several milestones in the last 18 months that were the culmination of several years of work. The first took place in April when your community bank purchased First Federal Bank of Lexington. The company posted a gain of nearly $1.9 million on the purchase, which enabled the bank to expand its customer base into Lexington. The company has also put an emphasis on increasing its percentage of non-interest-bearing accounts. When President James Rickard took over 13 years ago, less than 7% of total deposits were non-interest-bearing. Now, that figure is above 25%. Community Bank Shares earnings have increased every year since the economic downturn, culminating in record earnings of $6.9 million for 2012. And net income for the first half of this year was up 8.4% from a year earlier.
As business for the trucking industry picked up after the recession, Jeffersonville-based Mr. P Express wound up in the fast lane. The company, which provides over-the-road cargo delivery and transportation services for clients large and small, has invested $9.4 million in capital improvements and equipment since the beginning of last year. This year, it took delivery of 30 new Volvo trucks, 28 new Freightliner tractors, and 30 new trailers. Mr. P Express also has made extensive improvements to its River Ridge Commerce Center operation, and it has hired about a dozen diesel technicians this year. President Cynthia Collier says the only thing that has held the company back is finding qualified drivers, so Mr. P started an on-site driver training school in 2010. Collier is convinced that the financial strength of Mr. P Express allowed it to move forward with these investments when the time was right.
Vsoft Consulting has had explosive growth in the last 18 months. The company, which offers information technology staffing and business solutions services, has acquired or opened 4 offices in other cities and expects to have record growth of 72% this year. Another significant move by Vsoft was establishing a new division called Business Solutions. This division allows a client to have one provider who handles all its technology needs. The company has expanded its national recruitment center in Louisville to accommodate a team that now has 12 salespeople and 35 recruiters. Future plans include establishing offices in the New York and Chicago areas. Owner Perna Veer says he expects the company to continue growing rapidly and in multiple directions, such as into government work. He's also convinced the recession taught the company about the importance of retaining quality employees during tough times. The result, he says, is that Vsoft is well positioned to support its fast growth and the needs of its clients.
When Century Mortgage Company was formed in 1994, the company's goal was to fund $1 billion in mortgages. The company reached that goal last year and has had 3 consecutive record years in terms of revenue and volume. CEO Monica Bone notes that while her company's industry has been characterized by cutbacks, losses, and closures, many companies have closed because they couldn't adapt to new government regulations. Century Mortgage has flourished because the company was already operating in line with the new regulations. Much of Century Mortgage's business has come from refinancings as interest rates remain low. But even as rates have increased, new mortgages are on the rise. Century Mortgage has increased market share in all of its markets, 6 in Kentucky and Indiana, and the company's employment has grown from 151 3 years ago to 175 people today.
When HMS Global Maritime Inc. moved its corporate headquarters to New Albany from San Francisco in 2000, it had revenue for the year of $2.7 million. Last year, the company's revenue was $100 million, a figure that is projected to be repeated this year. HMS Global Maritime is involved in many aspects of the maritime market, and its operations include governmental and ferry services. One area of focus has been its overnight cruise division. HMS Global Maritime bought the American Queen steamboat, spent $8 million to refurbish it, and launched it last year. The boat has 222 staterooms and is projected to carry about 17,000 passengers this year. In April, the company will begin offering cruises in the Pacific Northwest on the American Empress, which has room for 223 passengers. CEO John Wagner says many of the company's clients are senior citizens who want to avoid long international trips. Zermatt Inc. develops software to manage revenue cycles and clinical communications in the healthcare industry, and its impact is far-reaching, with an estimated 1 in 6 Americans' medical information traversing the company's software systems each year. Most of the Zermatt's workers are in Louisville, working at a data center or in engineering, product development, or customer support positions. This year, the company launched 3 new products and expects to hire about 100 employees before year's end, after adding 100 workers in each of the last 2 years as well. But the growth hasn't just been in products and personnel. Zermatt's contracts grew 40% from 2011 to 2012 and are projected to grow by that amount again in 2013. CEO Tom Butt says that a large component of its company's success has been its ability to overcome the challenge of finding and hiring qualified software programmers. And he's confident of a bright future because of the increasing industry-wide pressures to meet new government regulations, a thorny problem that Zermatt is uniquely qualified to help solve.
Vicky Yates Brown jokes that she has never needed much sleep, and that's a good thing. She wouldn't have had much time for it anyway in the last year or so. Brown serves as both president and CEO of Nucleus, Kentucky's innovation center, and a member of Frost Brown Todd LLC. During the past year, her primary responsibility has been leading Nucleus, the economic development arm of the University of Louisville Foundation. Nucleus opened its $18 million 8-story building downtown on Jefferson Street in 2013 and has rolled out new programs for entrepreneurs. Brown, who's enthusiastic about working with entrepreneurs and startup companies, enjoys the economic development aspects of her job, helping recruit and support companies that are growing. And beyond Nucleus itself, she's also worked to gain approval for tax increment financing districts at U of L's Shelby campus and around its Belknap campus to encourage development at both sites.
Since being named Kentucky Market President for J.P. Morgan Chase in 2008, Paul Castel has established the bank as a strong player in the local market. But he's also leveraged his position to give back to the Louisville region and has stepped up Chase's efforts as a community steward by encouraging his team to volunteer on nonprofit boards and work on projects in the Smoketown and Shelby Park neighborhoods. As head of the Finance Committee for the Downtown Development Corporation, Castel led a detailed financial analysis aimed at determining the potential benefits of merging the DDC with the Louisville Downtown Management District. That merger occurred in June. Meanwhile, Castel has also used Chase's resources to examine downtown consumer spending on behalf of the DDC, and that study will be used as a tool to determine the viability of future investments in the Central Business District.
Since she joined Ruby Red Tea as Chief Tea Officer in 2010, Heather Howell has been leading a charge to take the company from farmers markets into major retailers nationwide. Ruby Red Tea offers a full line of organic bottled teas, and in the last year, Howell led the company in scoring distribution deals with the Kroger Company, Whole Foods, and Costco Wholesale. A high point this year was when Ruby Red Tea was one of 100 companies invited to compete for a chance to become part of Google's Micro Kitchen program, which offers snacks and beverages free to more than 16,000 Google employees. Last month, Howell learned that Ruby Red Tea was among only 13 products selected for the program. Ruby Red Tea's revenue has more than doubled each of the 3 years Howell has led the company, and she expects revenue to double again in 2014.
In a little more than a year, Dr. Mark Lynn has led his optometry business through an unprecedented period of growth and transformation. Lynn's business operates about 60 Visionworks doctors of optometry practices in Kentucky and 4 other states. Locally, the stores were formerly known as Dr. Beiser's Vision World, but the name change was completed earlier this year, capping off a 2-year effort to create a unified brand. And the company is growing with 4 new offices in the last year and more planned. Meanwhile, Dr. Lynn has also served as chairman of the Kentucky State Fair Board and has made many generous donations to support the community. His work with the Fair Board has included negotiating the planned reopening of Kentucky Kingdom and a proposed convention hotel at the Kentucky Exposition Center. And earlier this year, Lynn and his wife, Cindy Lynn, showed their cardinal colors by making a $5 million donation to the University of Louisville to help fund construction of a new soccer stadium.
Kentucky's bourbon industry has seen tremendous growth in recent years, and Heaven Hill Distilleries has been able to capitalize on that growth with a slew of projects. The Bardstown, Kentucky-based company has been on a roll that began when it announced plans last year to build a distillery and tourist attraction called the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience in downtown Louisville. Then in January, Heaven Hill said it would invest $10.2 million to add 2 new barrel-aging warehouses in Bardstown. It's also investing $5.1 million to increase production capacity by 50% at its Bernheim distillery in Louisville. Bourbon must be aged, of course, for 20 years or more in some cases. That's a challenge for distilleries, and Heaven Hill has had to limit sales of some of its more popular brands because of bourbon's surging popularity. But the effort to meet that demand is ongoing, and Heaven Hill President Max Shapira expects the industry's growth to continue because of bourbon's enthusiastic reception by the younger generation.
Since moving to Louisville early last year, Jefferson National Financial Corporation has grown quickly. The company, which creates variable annuities and sells them through a network of independent financial advisors, takes a different approach from most other companies that sell annuities through wholesalers. Jefferson National's revenue last year was a record $421 million. And this year, the company expects to hit sales of about $700 million. Meanwhile, Jefferson National's local workforce has nearly doubled from a year ago to 105 workers, and moved into a headquarters with more space to accommodate such expansion in January. The number of independent financial advisors who sell the company's products also has grown quickly to about 2,000 from 1,200 at the beginning of 2012. And CEO Mitch Kaplan said the company hopes to expand its advisor network to more than 8,000 and top $1 billion in annual sales by 2016.
The last year has been good to Papa John's International Inc. In October, the world's 3rd largest pizza chain celebrated the opening of its 1,000th international store. Papa John's also renewed its sponsorship as the official pizza of the National Football League this year. It unseated Gatorade as the NFL sponsor most identified by avid fans, and a Harris Poll study named Papa John's as the brand of the year in the pizza chain category. Meantime, Papa John's continues to bolster its brand in Europe through strategies similar to its efforts in the U.S., and this year it became the official pizza sponsor of the Football League in the United Kingdom. Founder and CEO John Schneider says the word that best applies to Papa John's right now is momentum, and that the company's success is the result of efforts Papa John's has made for the last 4 or 5 years.
Many have called 2013 the year of the Cardinal, and that's not only because of the University of Louisville's athletic success. For U of L, the past year has been about making strides in academics, building more facilities and infrastructure, fostering a healthcare partnership with Kentucky One Health, and planning for future development. President James Ramsey says all of U of L's efforts are focused on a state mandate to become a premier metropolitan research university, and the fruits of those efforts are visible virtually everywhere. The university has invested $1.7 billion in campus infrastructure in the last 10 years, opened a $37.5 million student recreation center this fall, and is also developing offices at its Shelby campus and creating a business park on Market Street downtown. And plans are progressing for a 39-acre engineering and applied sciences research park that will be built near the J.B. Speed School of Engineering. With graduation rates on the rise and the school having already raised $949 million toward its capital campaign goal of $1 billion, it's safe to say 2013 really has been the year of the Cardinal.
Mary Mosley deflects praise for her accomplishments as president of Al J. Schneider Company. But since taking over the family business after the 2001 death of her father, Al Schneider, Mosley has firmly established herself as a driving force in the Louisville community. In the last decade, her company completed a $70 million overhaul of the Galt House Hotel and transformed its hotel near the Kentucky Exposition Center into a Crown Plaza in a $26 million renovation project. And in the last year alone, under Mosley's leadership, Schneider Company has joined with other investors to strike a deal to reopen Kentucky Kingdom and formed a partnership to convert the former Hilliard Lyons Center in downtown Louisville into a mixed-use project anchored by an Embassy Suites hotel. Mosley says the last year has been a whirlwind as she and her business partners have held meetings and discussions with banks, attorneys, and contractors. But she's also quick to credit her siblings and their families for providing input into the decisions for Schneider Company. And she praises their commitment to further investment in their hometown. Al Schneider may have been a conservative spender known for being set in his ways, but Mosley says that although he would flip if he knew how much money his company was borrowing, he'd be proud of its many contributions to Louisville.